Our closing moment with Olisa Agbakoba. He's the former president of Nigerian Bar Association, the senior advocate of Nigeria, looking at the CCB and the CCT. Well, a lot of people have also argued, especially last week, asking the big question if the Senate president and his team did find any kind of irregularity with the way the charges are brought before him. Shouldn't he have gone to the CCT, maybe personally, to argue the maybe anomaly there?
How can? He's been charged. How can? He's been charged. He has a right to think that the charge is politically motivated. So if he thinks that way, he says, well, I can't go to these guys. Let me run to where I'm safe. I mean, thinking as his own lawyer, which I'm not, I would say, let me run to where I think I might be safe. But to go to anything connected with CC or T or B, it's not safe for me.
But that's on the one hand.
On the one hand, yes.
The question is, since now we're talking politics, how do you see this playing out eventually? We're supposed to be expecting ministers this month. Perhaps an Attorney General will be appointed along with them. They need Senate confirmation. How do you see it playing out?
Three things. First, the law is no respecter of persons. And on this, I'm fully in support of President Buhari's work so far. And I've said so in a statement that we should all get behind him. We've seen change work. How far that change goes depends on how he'll be strong. Second thing, the clarification from the CJN is important. So it will give direction to the legal community and the judiciary community. Third thing would not be what Saraki will make of his case in the Federal High Court. I'm happy to hear from your news that it's gone on appeal, because that will be an interesting new angle when the appeal court will then review, hopefully, the activities of both of the courts. But for me, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm infallible. I'm entitled to one side. And you know, we lawyers have different views. But my own view is, with the knowledge I've had as the president of the Bar Association and as a member of the NJC, where all the superior courts, the heads of superior courts, come there. Let's give you one thing. The NJC collects the budget of the superior courts. They don't collect the budget of the CCB. They don't collect the budget of the ICT. They don't collect the budget of the court-martial procedure. The court-martial, as you know, deals with offenses of a military nature. So a soldier is brought before the court-martial and tried and sentenced. But I have cases, Femi Falana has cases before the Federal High Court challenging not the court-martial, but the way in which charges have been preferred. I have about 20 in Abuja. No one has said that the Federal High Court is clashing with the court-martial, because what the Federal High Court is being called upon to do is to review the administrative process of laying a charge before the court-martial. So
does the Federal High Court then summon the court-martial?
No, at all.
In this case, wasn't the CCB summoned?
No. What has happened here is to say, you wait. Well, to be quite honest with you, I'm not familiar with the details of the orders.
Because what was read, what was in the news, was that the CCB was summoned by the Federal High Court to come and show cause.
I don't know.
As to why this trial should go on in the very first instance. I
don't know about that, to be honest with you. I don't know about that. I doubt that that will be a proper order. The more proper order would be to say we shall review the charge placed before the CCB and find out whether or not it has been properly laid. To go ahead and summon the CCB to show cause may, in my view, encroach into the jurisdiction of the CCB. But as I said, I haven't read the orders properly, so I cannot make a pronouncement on that.
Okay, seeing that today,
yes,
Malpe talked about the Federal High Court ordering the CCB or CCT to appear.
Yes.
Today, the Senate President is expected to appear before the CCT.
Yeah.
Today also, the appeal, we don't know if the appeal is going to be heard today.
Yeah.
But now we have like 3 courts supposedly sitting today on one matter.
Yeah, that's terrible.
What do you expect to see?
That's terrible. That's judicial chaos. That's judicial contagion.
With a bench warrant.
With a bench warrant.
In the mix.
In the mix. That's horrible. That's the last thing we expect in this new, dispensation. And that's why I say, please, CJ of Nigeria, clarify. It'll help all of us. Otherwise, we'll go into a clutter. There will be all sorts of interlocutory appeals, and the matter will not end. And the real issue, the Saraki declares assets, it'll be forgotten. And that's not what we want. We want to know. I don't buy Saraki's argument that it's 2003, unless he claims that time has run out. So the real issue is whether or not Saraki declared his assets properly. The CJN can help clarify this by making the restatement today.
Mr. Agbakoba,
Yes.
let's go back a little bit and look at the issue of declaration of assets.
Right.
Now, that's the Senate President having an issue with assets declared in 2003. Some argue that between 2003 and 2011, he was still in government, so there was no way that would have happened. Now, he's not the only person that has declared assets. Is it that there's no other public servant that's had the discrepancy with the assets declared? And how is it that it takes so long for the CCB, if you can shed light in there, why does it take them so long to say, okay, this one is confirmed, that one is not confirmed?
You're asking me a deep question with, big implications.
Okay.
That makes me sound, you see, I want to avoid sounding like Saraki's lawyer. But at the risk of that, let me attempt to answer the question. And I hope viewers will understand I'm simply shedding some light. I find it odd.
Let me clear this.
Yes.
We invited you not on the basis of Saraki.
Yes.
We put a call to you as
Yes.
not as Saraki's lawyer.
When you put a call to me, I got a call from a good friend who said, how could you be in all this? So I said, what? In fact, I thank you for inviting me, because this is the opportunity to also sort of like, sure, I'm not interested in anybody. Honestly, if Saraki goes to jail because he's done something wrong, let him go to jail. So that's why I'm a bit careful, because there's a lot of, Marco doesn't like the word cynicism out there. You say something, it's misinterpreted. But I will attempt, at the risk of sounding controversial. How can someone commit an offense in 2003 and it takes such a long time? It sounds odd. But don't forget that I think he was governor for 8 years. So that is
2011.
Well, you begin to see that it's not that because he had immunity. So at least from 2011 would be the time they had to go after him. So it's not that long, really. It's not that long. 2003 is not the correct time. He was protected by Section 308.
But you haven't just said how you see this playing out politically. Even though you said you see it being resolved, outside the courts, you still haven't said what you see happening on the floor of the Senate. Because if the presidency has had to come out to say, we're not a part of this, in fact, you have absolutely nothing
They've
to
said
do
so
with
already.
this. Yes, they have. Do you think that the senators will buy that? And how do you think that will work, whether for or against them?
It depends what you want to see. I think that Nigerians, it's tricky. It's very tricky. But for Nigeria to really, go on the path of change is to set the example that no one's above the rule of law. So I would want to see a deal that, that camouflages this issue of Saraki's assets. I want us to get to the bottom of it. And if that means that ministers are held up, so be it.
That's on the one hand.
So be it.
On the second
Yes,
hand, how do you also see this? Is it war against corruption, or strengthening institutions in such a way that they do their duties as they should?
Yes.
Do you also see implications for that here?
Absolutely, because if Saraki were to get away with it, then the institutions will say, well, you see. So I want the institutions, the anti-graft agencies, to feel the confidence to go after anybody. And it will not be good if people can use the judicial system, back again to lawyers and judges, to camouflage what they do. So it's a little bit dicey, but there are key characters that can play key roles here. One is the president. He said he's not part of this. Two is the CJN. Three is, of course, Saraki himself, who has said he's done nothing wrong. So if he's done nothing wrong, what has he got to fear anyway? If he's clean, he's clean. He shouldn't mask under the fact that the CCB is trying him wrongly. And some view say, all right, okay, yes, we know that they haven't done it properly, but why don't you go there and say it? But his answer is, of course, that that is an inferior court. So it's neither here nor there, but I would like the whole outcome to strengthen our democratic experiment.
Let's stay with the issue of fighting corruption and the war against corruption. A viewer is asking a question, says, you talked about special courts that can't fight corruption and will hit a brick wall. He's asking that you expatiate on that.
Very easy, very easy.
Then he now talks, let me just add it also. Like,
right.
They said the way it is now, lawyers will challenge their trials in the special courts and it will hit a brick wall. Isn't that a threat?
No, not a threat, unless you amend the Constitution. The State High Court has unlimited jurisdiction, unlimited civil and criminal jurisdiction in respect of every matter, except that excluded and handed to the Federal High Court. So if you take away the jurisdiction of either of these two courts, you will be doing so under an act. And an act is inferior to the Constitution. Unless, of course, the President can quickly put together a constitutional amendment and transfer corruption cases into the amendment, which I doubt. So these are the two courts. People don't understand that these two courts have phenomenal unlimited powers over anything prescribed in the Constitution.